Hello and welcome to my kitchen. My name is Barbara and I'm glad you're here with me so I can introduce you to one of my favorite appetizer recipes. This is my homemade creamy tomato soup, which of course stars Philadelphia cream cheese. It's a fantastic soup that begins with some pretty simple ingredients. We have just some diced onions, some minced garlic, a couple stalks of diced celery, some canned tomatoes. I use some crushed and some diced, and I use the juice as well, some chicken broth, and half a package of Philadelphia cream cheese. Some simple ingredients that make a soup that will knock your socks off. Let's get to the pot and start cooking. So over at the stove we have my stock pot, and in the bottom I've just put a splash of olive oil. I've got it turned to medium-low, and now I'm going to add my vegetables. We just want to saute the garlic and the onion and the celery just until they start turning translucent. You don't want them to get too brown, just to start going clear so that they release their flavors, a little caramel but not burnt to the bottom. So let these saute for a few minutes and then we'll add our tomatoes. Our vegetables are nicely cooking. They're sweating down a little bit and starting to get cooked through. So now we're going to add our tomatoes. I have 28-ounce cans here. So this is the diced tomatoes with all the liquid. And this is 2 cans of the crushed tomatoes. I like to use the tomatoes that I've canned with my daughters. But for easy measurements today, I've used canned from the store, just so you can see the amounts that I'm putting in. Now you could leave it like this, but I find it's a little too thick, so I like to add some chicken broth. I like to add about the equivalent of a can of tomatoes, which is about 3 cups. So I'm just going to eyeball this. Now this might seem to make a big pot. It will make about 12 appetizer servings, possibly more depending on the size of your bowls. We have a large family, and so we go through a pot this size pretty quick. If you need to half the recipe, you certainly can, but the soup is so delicious you will want leftovers tomorrow. So we're going to turn the heat up to high and bring it to a boil, and then comes the good part, adding the Philadelphia cream cheese. So our pot has come to a boil, and now we're going to add our Philadelphia cream cheese. I have half a package of the 250 gram box, and I've just chopped it up roughly. It doesn't need to be diced, it just helps it to melt in a little bit better as we're cooking it. So we're going to put all of that in, and then we're going to let it melt, let the cheese fully incorporate into the soup. Now I have 2 little tips for you while we're waiting for the cheese to melt. If you find that you're running short of time or low on ingredients, if you want still the onion and garlic flavor without the work of chopping the onions and the garlic, instead of using the plain cream cheese like we've done today, just omit the onions and the garlic and use Philadelphia urban garlic cream cheese instead. It'll give the same flavor with a whole lot less effort on your part. The second tip I'd like to give you is that if you're really pressed for time and you want to have an easy lunch the next day or have your appetizer made well ahead of time, you can use the same recipe. And instead of doing it on the stove top, you can put all of the ingredients, except the fresh herbs that we're going to add at the end, into your crock pot. Turn it on low overnight and you'll wake up to a house full of fantastic aroma, and you won't be able to wait for your dinner party to eat it. So we'll come back in a few minutes when the cheese has melted in, and we'll go from there. It's been about 15 or 20 minutes, and the cheese has fully melted and the vegetables are fully cooked. So now you have a choice to make. You can leave the soup a little chunkier, not blended, and that gives it a bit more rustic, casual feel. Or you can do what we've done here and use your immersion blender and blend it to a fine puree. It makes for more elegant presentation. It's nice that way for an appetizer. It just makes it feel a little bit more classy and a little bit less like lunch. What we're going to do now for the final touch is we're going to add some julienned basil to the soup. I'm going to put some in both pots. You want to save the basil right till the very end. It's a bit more of a delicate herb. It releases its flavor quickly, and if you put it in the pot too early, it sort of loses some of that zest that you want. Basil gives such a great flavor, and it makes you feel just like summer when you bite into it. So now that we've added our basil, you want to taste for salt and pepper. Depending on the chicken broth you've used and the canned tomatoes you've used, the salt level might be where you like it, or it might need a little pinch more. You can also squeeze a little bit of lemon juice in for an extra layer of perk if you're interested, or you can go just as is. So I'm going to give it a taste and then we're going to get to plating it. Our soup smells terrific, and we've sampled a little bit and it tastes terrific too. The basil gives it such a good pop, it just feels so good in the mouth and it tastes delicious. Now to plate it, we have a little bit of a playful nod to the old familiar cup of soup. I have my teacups and my saucers, and on the grown-up table at the buffet line, we're going to have a nice little breadstick, broken just so, and the perfect piece of parsley. You could also add a homemade crouton on there, or a slice of baguette toasted, and it would be quite delicious and beautifully presented. For the kids' table though, I don't think they're going to be into breadsticks and parsley, so we have their favorite garnish, fishy crackers. Thank you for coming to my kitchen today. Thank you for watching this recipe. I hope you try it and I hope you enjoy it. I hope you like it as much as we do. And I hope you find that Philadelphia cream cheese adds that extra special something to all of your recipes. Thanks for coming and have a great day. Happy cooking!